Hello my friends and welcome back. I'm Chiscool Gaming, and in today's video, sponsored by the makers of Whiteout Survival, I want to share with you everything you need to know, everything I wish I had known as a new player about hero gear, because I'm relatively new to Whiteout Survival. I'm 6 weeks in. I'm up to 78 million power. This is a whaled account, and I'm not new to the genre of city building war games. I've been doing this for the last 6 years, but this channel is dedicated to Whiteout Survival, so consider subscribing, and here's what I wish I had known about gear. You're going to unlock gear as your furnace levels up, which is why you're going to want to push the level of your furnace. And when you do, the thing you're really going to be looking for is mythic quality gear. That's the orange tier of gear. When you upgrade it enough, it flips to red, legendary quality, which is pretty wild, but we'll get to that in just a minute. So mythic quality gear is giving you stats. And the cool thing about this gear is that it is transferable to other heroes. So I can remove these pieces of gear, and I could put them onto a different hero if I wanted, which is kind of neat. Now I'm going to equip these back on, but the one piece of gear that will not move, that is only available on mythic tier heroes, the orange ones, is something called the widget. The widget we're going to talk about a little bit later in the video. We'll go in depth on this. For now, I'll simply say that widgets are completely busted. They're very strong. We'll get to that later, though. So the other pieces of gear, the 4 pieces, there's only one piece for each slot. You got the hat, the belt, the gloves, the boots. For infantry, there's just one piece. Okay, for marksmen, there's just one piece. For lancers, there's just one piece. There's no noob traps in this game. Okay, which is good. Not for this, certainly. So you don't have to worry about, like, do I need to get infantry pieces that have this stat or that stat? Like, no. When you collect gear, it's just, there's one piece type for each slot, and it has a rarity, all right? So once you get your mythic tier, you're going to start investing in it. Now, the thing is that until you get mythic tier, you might have gotten other pieces here. And you can see when I go to enhance the gear, there's purple pieces, blue pieces, green pieces. You could use these initially and start to invest. Chances are that you'll start with purple pieces, but if you're done with a piece, like you invested in a purple piece, you don't want to do it anymore, or even you start to work on a piece, and we'll talk about how you can do this, like I've done with my infantry over here, and you're like, oh, I don't need a second infantry set, and we'll talk about why you would or wouldn't want to do that. You could always unequip the piece of gear, and you can hit the reforge button, and you can completely reset the level for free and get 100% of the materials back, which is really awesome. Not to be confused with reforging the mastery level where you get half your stuff back. Don't do that. For the most part, just don't. Okay, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Okay, so the 2 ways that you enhance your gear is by leveling it up, and you can see here that is the enhance option. And you can either quick select or manually select the different things you would apply to go and do that. Each thing you consume gives a different amount of experience depending on what it is. And as you level up this gear, it's giving you a bunch of stats. It's giving you hero, defense, and health, and escort defense and health for this particular piece, which is relevant in the arena. And then it's giving infantry health %, which is relevant in expedition. So these are really important, both for when you battle in arena and exploration, and also when you battle in the world map. In fact, you can see here that, okay, level 40 on those gloves, that's nice, right? Well, what about what I have over here? We're sitting at level 100, giving 101% of stats. Technically, I'm level 101 on this gear, so it is a huge boost to stats, okay? The gear is a big deal. And a part of what makes the gear really outstanding is because although you can just level it up, which is one way to power it up, the next way you power it up is with something called mastery forging, which gives you a % boost. It gives you a % boost for your gear strength, that's exploration stuff, and your stats, which is the expedition stuff when you battle in the world map. So this is basically a multiplier on the effectiveness of how many stats and what attributes you're getting up here. That's the way that works. It is a big deal. Now, essence stones are very, very difficult to obtain. There's a bunch of ways that you can get them, but the most common way to go and do that is you battle for the bear trap. If I go back to my city and then zoom back out, show you the bear trap real quick. Here's the bear trap. You have most likely done this if you're watching this video, but you're going to battle this thing down, rally. I actually scored first this round, which is kind of cool. and you get rewards for your contribution here. Essence stones are what you're after. Now, the thing about essence stones is that they're very hard to come by. They're very hard to come by. So when you see them show up in events, you want to pick those up wherever you can, obviously. And even hero experience, I find I really need a lot of. And there's something very obvious that you'll notice when you go to do these upgrades, which is that the amount of things you need to upgrade will go up pretty dramatically. Later on, we'll look at a chart. But, to take this from level 80 to 81 is 1,450 experience. But if I go back to what I have over here, to take this from 40 to 41, this is only 290 experience. You can see that experience amount really ramps up. With essence stones, it goes up by 10 per level. So it's 10, then it's 20, then it's 30, then it's 40, then it's 50, then it's 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. You get the idea, okay? So essence stones goes up just by 10 every time. The other gear, we'll get a look at the sort of breakdown for that, okay? So that's your sort of hero gear 101, without talking about widget yet, without talking about the more advanced legendary levels, okay? Which is that you can get experience for enhancing, you can get the essence stones for mastery forging. All of these things are giving you more stats. But which pieces should I focus on, Chiscool? Well, for infantry, the thing you care about the most is actually the health. And the helmet and the boots generally give a lethality stat that you see here, okay? Very important. Whereas you're getting a health stat on the belt and the gloves. Now, why am I mentioning this? For your infantry, as you can see, I have prioritized health. That to me feels obvious. They're there to tank. Do that. You can see that, my mastery level on my health pieces is 10, and my level is 101. Whereas the enhancement level is only 80, and, mastery level 6 on the boots. I have done the exact opposite for the two DPS types, that is the marksman, where you can see I'm level 90 on the lethality pieces, Essence Stone 6 level mastery, right? And on the health pieces, I'm 70. You could make an argument even for a greater split of these things. For your arena performance, I think it's better to level things evenly. For your expedition or open world performance, I think it's better to focus on specific stats. Now, that said, even in arena, you can see that the health and defense pieces are giving escort, health, and defense, whereas the attack pieces are giving escort, attack, and health. So even you could make an argument for arena that although the cost goes up really fast on higher level stuff, focusing in on what is the unit there to do? My marksmen are not tanking. So do I need the defense? Maybe not as much as I need the attack, right? So even for arena, you can make the argument that to some extent, focusing on certain things that, the unit type cares about, like, for example, here again is my Lancer gear, you focus in this case, it's the lethality, and for arena, it will be attack stats. Now, you can see here that my Lancers are far lower than my other troop types. That is because, as I understand it, infantry is your number one priority in the first couple generations, then it's marksmen, then it's Lancers, and the priority may shift around in future generations, but for the first two generations, that has held true. Now, this brings us to the next obvious piece of equipment that is here, but I haven't talked about, and that is the widget. The widget cannot be removed. It is hero specific. They are very difficult to obtain, and they are very powerful. And it makes sense that widgets are powerful because it's attached to the hero. So like this Yeti Spirit, it can only go on Molly. So what is the relevance of that? The relevance of that is that generally, I would say, dollar for dollar, you actually get more punch from upgrading your widgets. This is going to depend on what events you have and what bundles are available to you. But the reason that widgets have to be extremely powerful is because they're not movable, right? Like when you upgrade this gear for heroes, you can move it to another hero when new gens come out. But this is stuck to the hero. So now that we've covered that really clearly, what does it do? Well, just like your other gear pieces, this is giving you stats for exploration and stats for expedition. You can see it's hero attack, hero defense, hero health. It's giving you escort defense, escort health, escort attack. But it's also giving you those expedition stats, in this case, Lancer lethality and health. And you get skills from it for both exploration and for expedition. But not only do you get skills for exploration and expedition, but the skill you get over here is like a multiplicative bonus. And I've been using this example of like a 500% stat boost because I feel like, in this gen, it's pretty reasonable for a mid to high level spender, okay, to be exceeding 500% of stats. But anyways, the way these buffs work is that when this is maxed out, when Molly is defending, she gives you a 15% lethality boost. What that means is not that you go from 500 to 515, but that you go from like 500 to 575. And I don't think that's exactly right either. Someone said that these bonuses for the combat formula might be even better than that. So the point that I'm trying to make is that these are a multiplicative bonus, which is why they're so busted. They represent a jaw-dropping level of power increase, just like the consumable buffs do. And if you were wondering and wanted to see, like, Chiscool, prove it, show it to me, right? So if we go to my starred reports over here, and we go to the stat bonuses, we click the exclamation, my Geronimo widget gives 15% rally troop attack. This is a multiplier on all the stats, okay? Rally troop attack. It's why in this report, like, the attack on all my units is like pretty dang high. Even for my infantry, it's like shockingly high. And that's because all troop types are getting a 15% attack boost, where it's going from like 500 to 575 rather than like 500 to 515. That is a big, big deal, okay? Widgets are busted. And widgets actually, because they're so busted strong, define what the hero is best for. In other words, from each generation, you get a meaningful increase in power level, but not insane. But the widget can completely redefine a role for Lancers or Marksmen or whatever in the new generation. As an example, Zinman, you get right away. But because his widget is specifically for defending, 15% troop attack boost when you're defending, this means that in Gen 2, you can use him to defend, and he might be better than Alonso for defense. Because Alonso, the Gen 2 hero, okay, he gives a rally boost. That only works when you're rallying, not when you're garrisoning or defending something, right? So the widget is, in my estimation, the biggest lever for increasing the effectiveness of a hero, and also is tied to that one hero only. So in terms of how to get widgets, I probably end up making an entire video dedicated to widgets. But what I'll simply say is there's several methods. One is to go in and get them from the mystery shop. And you can buy a bundle in the regular bundles section that will help you get a lot of this currency. I can show it to you. And that's what I've been doing as my number one priority for widgets, is I'll go into the regular packs and I will go buy the mystery badge pack, because that is more effective than going in over here and buying the gear enhancement pack, which I also have been doing because I'm rushing the new gen. But the reason that it's better is that you basically get the equivalent of like full price ish. I know it says like 1,280%. But when you go over here in this shop, you can get discounts, right? Like you can see how like that one item is discounted 20%. I refresh up to the 1,000 gem tier, hunting for discounted things in this shop, which I think gives me kind of disproportionate value on these mystery badges over just the regular bundle that gives me widgets. The regular bundle for widgets, though, is way faster. So yeah, as we get closer to, upcoming fights, you look to that bundle for value over time. You would hunt over here. Also, I get essence stones and other things in here, but mystery shop is could be its own video. I'll cover that later. All right. So we're not done yet, because one of the things that I wanted to understand that I couldn't seem to find like a guide for was how the heck do things work when you get to the legendary tier? And at the legendary tier, There's a whole new set of empowerment stats when you hit different breakpoints on the levels. Level 20, 40, 60, 80, and 100 gives you extra bonuses. Now, these are not multiplicative bonuses, okay? So it's not like 500% attack to 600% attack. It's the 500% to 520%. Still great, because you'll have other multipliers that make these even bigger, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that these are not as like insanely busted as like widgets are as a sort of multiplier. Now, each of these tiered bonuses applies in different situations. So you can see this one's for expedition, this one's for exploration, this one's for expedition, this one is for exploration, and this one's for expedition yet again. So what you might want to do is strike to different tiers of this. And I feel like it's pretty obvious that like infantry really value defense. So if I were looking to prioritize my infantry pieces, like taking these particular pieces to this level to get the defense seems really good. But there's a barrier, because in order to enhance now, and you can only get to this, by the way, to get to legendary tier, you have to take the piece to level 100, and then you have to sacrifice 2 other mythic pieces. Okay? So 2 mythic pieces become fodder to make it level 100. Okay? Technically 101 is what you need. And that's a big deal. But then to Mastery Forge past level 10 also requires the sacrifice of mythic quality gear. So in order to better understand Mastery Forging and what this entails, let's jump in to a table that you can find in my Discord server. Link will be in the description for my Discord server, but let's review this together. This table gives an overview of the experience and the stuff that it takes to go in and level up the gear. I think it might just be for helmet and gloves to get to certain tiers. And I'm not yet totally familiar with everything that there is to know about mastery levels. So I don't want to oversell my level of knowledge in this, but what I'll say is that in addition to needing experience, which we're like kind of used to, you're also going to need this thing called mithril. Okay. And mithril is what you'll need when you get to different breakpoints with your gear, specifically to unlock these higher tier rewards at the bottom, like the plus 20, plus 40, plus 60, plus 80. So to get the plus 20 bonus, it looks like per piece, you need 10 mithril perhaps. And on top of that, you also need to sacrifice 3 pieces of mythic hero gear. All that to say that these become really like a long-term projects in terms of like when it is you would expect to get mastery levels. And like, obviously a whale will be like spending through to get that faster, but to take, I'm not quite sure when they say like 1 piece of mythic hero gear, I guess to take 1 piece of mythic hero gear all the way to the max level, and like absolute max, you need 150 mithril. So that would mean 10, then 20 is 30 total, then 30 more is 60, then 40. Okay, yeah. So that's 1 piece all the way to the highest level, 150 mithril. If you took just 1 piece to the level 100 plus bonus, and you have to sacrifice 35 total pieces of mythic hero gear. Oh, wow. So it's 10 over there, 10 over there, 5, 5, and then 3. Okay, right. And it's a base of 2 to get from level 100 to level 101. Okay. And then 3, which I kind of circled poorly there. 3 more to get to level 20. So 5 in total. Wow. Okay. Yeah. So this tier of gear, cool bonuses, very powerful, long time to get there. The good news is that the amount of hero gear experience you need to get to level 100 starts out really, really, really small. So you can level up really, really fast. And this chart is in my Discord server, so we don't need to go over like the exact details here. If you want it, you can pause the video in any one part and you can see like, right, to go from this level to that level costs this amount of experience, or you could math it out. And the other good news about experience is that there's no events for this. So although you might save your essence stones for events, because there's a lot of events that will reward you for essence stone consumption, Hero Gear experience, you could do literally anytime, which is fantastic. That was like one of the things I didn't understand. That is a big deal. The other thing I'll point out over here is that the Mastery Forging gets, as I described, more expensive by 10 Essence Stones every time. But also, you need to sacrifice Mythic Hero Gear. You need to start sacrificing Mythic Hero Gear. GG. So, to get to level 11 on the Mastery Forging is also 1 piece of Mythic Gear sacrifice. Level 12 is 2 pieces of Mythic Gear sacrifice, and the cost just keeps going up by 10 Essence Stones. So, GG, man. So this brings us back to some bigger picture questions, and let's jump into Whiteout Survival to answer those. So the first question you might ask is, how many sets of gear should I work on? And I think the answer is primarily just 3 sets of gear. Okay. The reason you work on 3 sets of gear, 1 for each troop type, is because that's what you send out in an army when you go to do anything. So you want your main set of hero gear that you use for most things to be your best. That said, if you're not like the rally lead or garrison captain for your group, then you can focus theoretically on 5 sets of gear, 1 set for each of your arena armies. The only downside of that is that you can't use any essence stones for that activity, because although I can reset the level on any of these pieces whenever I want with no sacrifice, the essence stone level, you cannot do that for. You do lose 50% of your essence stones when you shred a piece, so or reset a piece. So my recommendation there is, if you're going to work on a 4th and a 5th set, still consolidate your essence stones to your 3 main sets. Because let's say that right now you're running triple infantry in arena, I am, but you're not in the next gen of heroes. Like, well, if you committed essence stone to your infantry, it's not the worst. There'll be times where you use it, okay, like Foundry, I guess. You could use it in Frostfire Mine, but not great. So that's my sort of perspective on that one, all right? Focus on 1 set of gear to start. And I think that's very practical, okay? Now, one of the main ways you'll be getting the stuff you need is through exploration. This is a big deal. You see I hit claim. I'm getting things that I can use as fodder, all right? This is important. Push your exploration level. There will be events like the bear trap that you do on a regular basis. They give you critical experience. In my brief time playing the game, the most progress I got was from holiday events. And like, if you spend in holiday events, there are some really disproportionately good ways to get essence stones, typically with tiered rewards. That's the case. And if you want to see what a holiday event looks like and how absolutely busted those can be, I'll have cards in the end screen for when I played through the New Year's events, and like, wow, just wow. Compared to the bundle quality you can get any old day of the week and the events being there on top of it, you could like double dip, triple dip in events and just get so much stuff. So that will be like my strong recommendation, that, you know, if you're going to spend, and, you know, consider your financial situation. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. But if you are spending, you want to do that ideally during some of these holiday events where you think 1800% is great until you see the holiday events, and holy smokes. The value is just like way, way, way higher. Whether it's the sort of battle pass like bundles or just the bundles themselves that are higher percentage, 2,000, 2,500, etc. That's kind of where it's at. So in the meantime, you've got stuff like this where you can get essence stones, hero gear chests, and, you know, if you prefer, enhancement XP components. And the reason you would choose the XP components over the lucky hero gear chests, I assume, is that it's more total experience. In fact, it's easy to see why that would be the case. At the sort of hero XP component tier, you're getting 24 of them, whereas you're not going to get 16 pieces of epic quality equipment or better from the lucky hero gear chest, right? You're going to get some blues, some purples, and even fewer mythics. So you're basically playing a gamble for going for mythic gear when you go for lucky hero gear chests rather than just pure hero experience. You also get like hero gear experience over there because you're going to sacrifice off the blues and the purples most likely. But like straight experience, you get more with the XP. You want a chance at the mythic gear, you do the lucky hero gear chests, and then essence stones are for the mastery forging. All right. There's still probably a lot to talk about with equipment, but this is like the deep dive, probably an overload for a new player anyways, so I think we stop here. You enjoy the vid, throw a like on here, subscribe. You want to see those holiday events I was talking about where the rewards can just be through the roof? Cards will be in the end screen. Hope you enjoy it. Until next time, you have fun smashing your enemies. Take care, everybody.